What do you know? When love comes to me and says, "What do you know?" I say, "This girl, this boy." Sharon Olds from Looking at Them Sleep. To those who with their love and dreaming make this world more livable for all, AF and AG. What do you know? Written by Aracelis, Girmay, and Ariana Fields. Illustrations by Ariana Fields. When love comes to the well and asks, "What do you know?" it says, "I know thirst, I know abundance, I know depth, I know darkness." When love comes to the farmers and asks, "What do you know?" he says, "I know the colors of the earth's flat face." She says, "I know work and weather and the hands of the sun and the rain." When love comes to the honeybees and asks, "What do you know?" they say, "We know the bright heads of the yarrow and the hyssop and the ruffles of the horse mint flowers. And we know the hexagon and the color gold. We know the black bear's hunger for honey." When love comes to the historian and asks, "What do you know?" she says, "I know history speaks when we listen, for the quietest stories among stories." When love comes to the forest and asks, "What do you know?" it says, "I know the color green and the color brown and the billion creatures and creatures' sounds. I know the call of the monkey, the breath of the bear, the red of the ants and the shade's dark gown, and I know the musk we make when the rain comes down." When love comes to the ash and asks, "What do you know?" the ash says, "I know the secrets between the volcano and the sky." It says, "I know wondering, and I know the language of fire." When love comes to the rock and asks, "What do you know?" the rock says, "I know the force of water and the force of the wind. And I know that change is possible even if it takes 1,000,000 years." When love comes to the goats and asks, "What do you know?" they say, "We know the face of the cliff and we know the balance of our hooves on the jagged edges." When love comes to the fruit bats and asks, "What do you know?" they say, "We know the sweet of the fruit and the heights of the trees. We know our way in the dark and the clicking of wings." When love comes to the seven sisters and asks, "What do you know?" they say, "We know the silence of outer space and the vastness of the deep, dark night. We know the story of distance and the language of light." When love comes to courage and asks, "What do you know?" courage says, "I know speaking, even though I am afraid, and I know the daily work of keeping on." When love comes to the seafarer and asks, "What do you know?" she says, "I know the breath of the ocean and the eye of the whale. I know the strength of my muscles as they pull the rope, and I know that star and that star." When love comes to the land and asks, "What do you know?" the land says, "I know the joy of going on and on and on. And I know the laughter of children who run below the birds and the heels and toes of the elders who planted the seeds. I know the ancestors and their ancestors' dreams, the hoping song that is brown and the hoping song that is green."